Hey guys, it's Elizabeth and welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, I am a beginner homesteader and gardener, and I've been documenting my first year of gardening. It's been about 4 weeks now since my last YouTube video, and it pretty much has been that long since I was out in the garden. This video might be a little embarrassing for me, which is okay. I think that it's more important to share realistic. I have to put my sunglasses on. More important for me to share the reality of my first year of gardening. I'm currently 24 weeks pregnant. I'll give you a little shot there. So, 24 weeks pregnant, and this ending of my second trimester has been really difficult. So, if you've been following me on Instagram, then you know that a lot of stuff has been let go. So, and the garden is one of those things. I recently did a short on cleaning up the side of my house, which was completely overgrown. I didn't even notice. We've just been keeping up with having new chicks, getting their little home established. I haven't been able to accomplish everything in the garden that I was hoping to, or that I said I would. And so I want to just do a little garden and chat because I'm going to be going out here and trying to clean this up. And while I'm doing that, I'll just kind of tell you what's been going on. I'm going to take you through our now September garden, give you a little tour, and then get to work. I'll start over here, and I don't usually show this spot, but we have plants over here. These are our Velvet Queen sunflowers. Those sunflowers, they look like they must be Velvet Queen as well. This is my hibiscus. That's going to have to come inside eventually, and then obviously we still have all of our zinnias that are blooming. The black-eyed Susans are done. I'm gonna have to cut those down, and then we're still waiting on our asters to bloom. Just look really unkempt, which is, I don't know, it's okay. I guess we'll just leave those be, because I love asters, and I would love to see them bloom. This is a tomato plant that's growing on the side of our chicken coop. And this is probably the healthiest tomato plant that we have, because it is very well supported. And it's kind of cool, actually, because there's some that are low enough for the chickens to peck at. So they get to have a sweet little snack. In this area, we have the basil, which I probably will be pulling out and propagating so that I can have it in our kitchen through the winter. I'll plant it again back in our garden in the spring. And then there's a zinnia bush back here that's completely choked out by this tomato. Here is our Mexican sunflower. We still have quite a few left that are going to be blooming, but it's very tall, which is cool. It's taller than me. Then over here is my tomato plant that I completely failed this year. I didn't give it a good environment to grow in, so that's something that we're going to have to be fixing next year. My husband and I are already brainstorming how we want to do our tomatoes next year because neither of us is particularly happy with how our tomato plants grew. They're African marigolds, still blooming. Those have been blooming all summer. I've got a few jalapenos, and then this is a bell pepper plant, which I was expecting larger bell peppers, but that's okay because they're perfect for snacking. They're very yummy, very sweet. There's two of those. One of them still got flowers. That's pretty cool. Here is my beans trellis. The beans are pretty much done, so I think I'm going to be taking that out today, seeing if there's anything left to harvest, but it's definitely done blooming. I'm not totally sure I should just take this tomato plant out or not. I'm going to leave it for right now because I really don't know, but it probably will come out. So in the county where I live, school starts in the first week of August. My stepdaughter's in 4th grade. She's with us half the time. And fortunately, my husband drops her off at school on his way to work, and then I pick her up after school. For some reason this year, that was a huge adjustment for me, and it took me a while to really get used to it again and to fit it back into my routine. Because, you get a good routine going in the summer, and then school starts again and everything changes. And our summer is not particularly long. Okay, you might get mad at me for this, but I'm going to cut this because it's driving me nuts. It's a whole flower, but it's going away. So that was going on. School started. This is Thistle. Please don't poke me. And then we had a lot going on with our house. So I said previously that we rent. So when it comes to home maintenance, we're somewhat limited in like control that we have. And we had a lot of stuff come up in our house that needed to be addressed in the last few weeks. It's really easy for critters to get into our cellar. And there's definitely been some making a home, probably for a long time, honestly. We started to notice fleas in our house, which is just like you stress yourself out over having a clean house and then you get fleas. Like, that is just, oh, so embarrassing. It's just really embarrassing and uncomfortable. Obviously, nobody likes getting bit by fleas, but we knew that they were coming up from the basement because they were coming in our bathroom, which isn't a place where our cat hangs out. They were coming in up through the vent in the bathroom, and they were also on our stairs that go down into the cellar. And those were the primary spaces that they were. Like, they never got in our beds or anything like that. Oh, I don't even know what to do back here. Real quick, the beans that are on the trellis, so should I just let them die back, and then take care of them? I think that's probably what I'll do. Anyways, we also got a fridge off of Marketplace that had cockroaches. So we were dealing with fleas and roaches. The stress that comes from dealing with cockroaches and fleas is just unreal. I couldn't believe how stressed out that made me. But I mean, we have kids and pets. So we flea bombed. I took care of the flea bombing, and that was a whole week-long debacle. So we were just trying to work through having infestations, like infestations of pests, my poor mental health, going back to school, and obviously having a garden is a privilege and something that requires set aside time if it's not something that you've had worked into your routine for several years. This is my first time doing it, you know? So it wasn't something that I'm used to just having as part of my routine. So I just say all of that because I've been trying to give myself a lot of grace and not be frustrated at the fact that my garden was not successful this year the way that I hoped. All of that oversharing aside, I do want to talk about the successes and failures of my garden this year. I'm sorry, I have to wear these sunglasses. I want you to see my eyes, but it is so bright. First, I'll talk about this trellis first. So I made this trellis for my beans and my peas. It is just made out of like sticks that we found in the woods or whatever, and some macrame cord that I had left over. And this all is one bean plant. So this trellis was phenomenal for one plant. And I planted 8 different plants here. So I had 4 beans and 4 peas. I think 2 of the pea plants were viable, and I accidentally weeded them. I accidentally pulled them out when I was weeding. So we didn't have any peas. And then the green bean, only one of the plants actually germinated and grew. And so that one was really happy on this trellis. As you can see, it grew up on this back side, and then it grew over onto the side where I would have had the peas. And it pretty much has just stayed on this trellis. For a minute, it was growing onto the peppers, but we were able to train it away from there. Obviously, if I want to have more plants on this trellis, I'll have to make it bigger. I like the way it looks. I like the structure of it. It was really simple to do. And I would like to repeat doing that same structure, but it needs to be bigger if I want to have more than one plant growing on it. Early on in this First Time Gardener series, I made a video about the layout of my garden, so go back and watch that if you haven't seen it. The layout I pretty much followed for the most part in the garden itself. The garden is laid out so that the sun rises in that direction, that's east, and it sets in the west. And my thought was, okay, if that's the case, I want to have short plants in the front, and then gradually they'll get taller. Well, I had mammoth sunflowers growing in the back there, and once the sun was like at, I don't know, maybe 3 or 4 or 5 o'clock, everything was shaded by the sunflowers. So I had everything laid out shortest to tallest. with the thought that that's how it would get the most sunlight. But really, the way that my husband arranged it is so that we would have, he wanted to have stuff running um, east to west. Like he wanted those rows to be east to west, where I put them north to south. And I think that that really prohibited the production of our plants, or it just made the layout so weird. There's so much wasted space here. So I'll show you kind of what I mean by that. Here's the garden entrance. This is where we come in. We've just got like our plants clumped here. Flowers, like later season flowers, are clumped here. We didn't really plant these until later in the summer. And then this is open and this is open. And really everything needs more space to grow. I just needed to plant less different kinds of vegetables and just be happy with having a few. Like, really, we just needed one bean plant, we needed a one bell pepper plant, we needed one tomato plant, and we ended up with all of this stuff that's clumped in one spot. Now, I did have corn here. We had 12 corn plants, and all of them fell victim to corn smut. So those came out. I actually dried them, and I'll show you those here in a second. I dried them so that I could use them as like fall decor. And then here is where we had our squash and zucchini. And if you've been following along, you know that those were hit with squash bugs. And I didn't catch it till it was too late. I pulled them out soon enough that I probably could have started more, but you know, overwhelming. It's all right. Here's that corn I was talking about. I just hung it up and dried it, and I will probably stick it in a vase or something up front. I also dried some grass that was overgrown, and we'll use that for decor as well. Well, despite how unkempt it still looks, there's not really much that I want to do with my garden right now. So I'm gonna leave the bean plant there. I think that it'll be easier to manage cleaning that up once it has actually died back. And then the tomatoes I'm gonna leave in the ground because there's still some that are gonna be ripening up. And yeah, there's really just not much that I want to pull out of there right now. Really, what I think needs to happen is my husband just needs to come back here with the weed whacker and tear some stuff up. Like the black-eyed Susans, that would be something, because they're perennial, we want them to stay in the ground. But if he just goes through and cuts them down, then it would look a lot better. Same with the rest of the perennials that are out here. Yeah, it's not quite the video I was expecting to make. I thought that I would be tearing a lot of stuff out, but there's just not much to do right now, actually. Still waiting for some stuff to ripen. Want some stuff to die back before we try to deal with it. I'm sorry that it's been so long since my last video. I hope that if you're a returning subscriber, I hope you forgive me. I said that I was going to be making videos more regularly, and obviously that hasn't happened. But I am posting more on Instagram. I've been making more reels and shorts on there. So if you don't follow me on Instagram, go follow me there. And if you're new here, please subscribe to see how the rest of this season progresses. I'm about to be my 3rd trimester of pregnancy. It's still hot here in Indiana, but it's starting to cool down at night. So our workload is changing. I'm hoping to make a video about our chickens in the future, and we do have some baby chicks that we are raising now. We've just finished up their little enclosure. And if you're new here, please subscribe, and I will see you in my next video. Bye.